I've been growing up, baby, earning, yeah, dancing on my own. See if you can follow. Got me feeling alive. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time it's real, real, real. I do what I want. 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 Hear me now. I do what I want. Are you ready now? 'Cause it won't be easy. Only get what you work for. Gotta go all out. Whenever you see me, don't be wasting my time. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. 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 Hear me now. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. I do what I want.
Good morning. What's new, pussycat?
What's new, pussycats? How are you? Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, right? Yes, Saturday, the 27th. My God, I mean, January's almost over. God almighty, time flies so fast. Except, of course, if one finds oneself in jail, likely awaiting a long prison sentence. Fingers crossed. I'm gonna give y'all a warning right now, okay? I ain't woke, number one. And I have some very strong feelings about pretty much everything in this case, that I'm going to do a proper Crimes in Fashion watch and, well, you know, at first I called it watch/react. And then after watching more and more and more, well, this morning I decided, no, fuck that. I'm going to edit that title because I believe in truth in advertising. So I went and changed the title to Watch and Rage. Yes, we're going to rage against the machine. We are going to, oh boy. Y'all, this has got, you know what's interesting? For me, in my YouTube experience, and of course, I'm the only one who would know this, I'm considering this coming full circle for moi. Due to the fact that this is the reason I came to YouTube, okay? 2 years ago, I think 2 years, give or take, channel number 2, blew one channel up, and then, like, you know, like a true idiot, decided to come back and do everything exactly as I did it the first time, but expecting a different result. Yeah, no, that didn't work out so well. I mean, it did in some respects, but I think I'm happy to report that I'm not built for nonstop, all day drama over shit that has no bearing on my life whatsoever, and isn't going to. So I've been kind of floundering around, thinking, where am I going? Like, where am I going with this? And it's going to be trial error, but I have followed the case of first Ethan Crumbley, and I'm going to give you all a little background for the benefit of anyone who may not be up to speed on this. I'm going to say hi to the kids in class in a minute. And I did, yes, I would like you to notice that I did not have time to do my little, video like I like to do when I show you my outfit for the day. But I thought, since we're going to court, well, I'm going to put on my court attire. And I wasn't planning on wearing this, but this tie caught my eye in the closet. Because, yes, even my husband's shit is not safe from these mitts. And I thought, well, damn, that would look, that would work. So I am wearing a Burberry tie that I stole from my husband. I actually bought him this tie for Christmas several years ago. So there's that. Now, it's only partial court attire because, let's face it, I'm not getting out of this chair. Well, I will to give my back when I start getting a bed sore on my left ass cheek, I'll get out of the chair. But, I'm wearing jeans. But, however, I am wearing these fabulous shoes. And I thought, well, yeah, they are high as hell. But, it's not like I'm going to go run a marathon in them. So... And yes, I am going to fashion police everybody in the courtroom. Well, not everybody, but just the main players. And after seeing the defendant, this just further solidifies my belief and my determination to never, ever find myself incarcerated. Because damn, woo! I think God said, well, Jennifer, those 12 people in that box, in case they don't give the right result, well, I've certainly turned you into a bag of shit over the last, oh God, I don't know how long the bitch has been in there. At any rate, I have followed this case. I did watch all of Ethan Crumbley, who is the Oxford High School shooter in Michigan. He is presently serving life without the possibility of parole. And now, think about this one. His mother, Jennifer Crumbley, his father, James, I think it is. I don't give a shit. Because we're not talking about him here. But this is the first time in history that parents of the 15-year-old, well, at the time he was 15, they have been charged with manslaughter. And I say it's about fucking time. So, appearing for the fashion police will be Crimes in Fashion. He's never leaving prison, nor should he. Try this one on for size. How about this for a sobering moment that, while I'm sure they never anticipated it, they should have. And that is, hell, it might still be going on. In the beginning, and at least up until he was convicted, which was not, he didn't go to trial. He ended up pleading out, but because of his age, they had to have a special hearing to determine whether or not he was eligible to be incarcerated for whatever remains of his useless life. And fortunately, the judge decided that, yeah, he meets that criteria. So he may have now gone on to big boy prison, where, my goodness, I certainly hope his fellow prisoners, well, there's nothing good for him. If he goes in Gen Pop, they're going to make sure that he gets at least a little bit of what he's got coming, fingers crossed. And if he's too high profile and problematic, they'll keep him in ADSEG, administrative segregation, where they keep high profile prisoners that, are likely to be killed or severely maimed by their fellow cellies and whatnot. Listen, I know prison lingo, okay? Those white kids that they wear are known as Kung Fu Joes. I don't know if they call them that in every jurisdiction, but what case was that I was looking? Oh, South Carolina. So anyway, if he has not gone on to whatever prison he has been assigned to, mother, father, son, all in the same ADSEG at the county jail. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine how does that happen? Well, I mean, I think I understand how it happened in that case, but you couldn't write that. If you were writing a screenplay, if you were pitching a movie, a TV series, you could never, you couldn't sell that. They would say, no, way too far-fetched. Come back with something a little, slightly more realistic. But that in fact was the case. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. My feelings are not at all ambivalent when it comes to the death penalty, and who I think should get it. If you're offended by things like that, well, this might not be the one for you. And I'm not looking to offend anyone, but it's just how I feel. And I've never been one for sugarcoating. So there's that. Also this, I have that my thoughts are a little more ambivalent, because while this is a household, as are all of my immediate family members, where there is protection in place, responsibly. But that doesn't mean that I don't, there are things I would like to see in terms of control. I think there's a couple things that should be done that are not done now that could alleviate. My belief is it should be as difficult as possible for people who have no business possessing these. It should be as difficult as possible for them to get their hands on them. And I'm not talking anything crazy, but there are some loopholes where background checks are concerned that, to me, should be closed. I mean, my husband and I, and some of my other in-laws, we will go at it over this, because I'm pretty much the only one who thinks that's a good idea. And I'm like, well, that's because all the rest of you are wrong. So, all right. So, let me say hi to kids in class. And then we're going to do a little bit of background. There's a great article from, I believe it's the Detroit Free Press. Because even though I have followed all of the parents' hearings up to now, I watched all of, as they are calling him in the trial, and I'm not sure why this is, but I'm good with it. They do not refer to Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of Ethan, same last name. They do not refer to him by his name. Every once in a while, somebody will slip, but they refer to him as either the shooter or the school shooter, which I think is very interesting. And I don't know. I think there could be multiple reasons for it. I think for the defense's purposes, I could definitely see a scenario where, because these people do this, well, who fucking knows why they do it? If we knew why they did it, we might be able to prevent some of it. But I think a given across the board, they all do it because they want the attention. They're fucking losers. A lot of them have never accomplished anything. They've never been notable in any kind of way. So I could see a scenario where the prosecution says, no, we don't want to say his name because we don't want to keep giving him attention. Because what I learned in Ethan Crumbley's hearing to determine whether or not he could get life in prison with no possibility of parole, which thank God that's what the judge did. But what I learned listening to, and that went on for days, and then the judge actually took at least a month, I believe, to publish a written verdict, or, well, I don't think, do they call it a verdict or ruling? Was it a ruling, a written rule? At any rate, believe it or not, and this is shocking for any number of reasons because he's not exactly the best looking kid I've ever seen. There very much exists a very fucked up female who apparently is so starved for male attention that they befriend and write to prisoners. And apparently he has a lot of female groupies, which, God dang, let me tell you something. If I was that thirsty for male attention, well, I wouldn't be writing to him. I mean, he's disgusting. He's just gross. Even if he had been able to exist in the wild with the rest of us and got to be a big boy, outside of a cell, he was never going to be a heartthrob. Let's just say that. And to see him with his greasy hair and his bad complexion, and to hear that he has literally got groupies that put money on his commissary. They give them tablets. Fuck that. What the hell is wrong with this world? You go to prison or jail, and here you go, here's an iPad. How many people sitting in jail do you think never had a damn iPad in the free world? But me and you and everybody else, our tax money is paying to give them iPads. What I want to know is, do they give the iPads the updates? Like, do they do that? Do they get, what version of the iPad are they on? I don't know. Okay, so. All right, I'm going to say hi to the kids in class. I'm going back up to the top. And then we're going to get right into it with the Detroit Free Press. I don't know that we'll read. Oh, one more thing. I want to give you guys a Netflix recommendation, because now that I'm not immersed in drama, and y'all, you know what? I've said this several times previous, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably keep saying it. That is for no other reason. Please do not read anything into that. That is for no other reason except I can't pull away from that and break free of it if I'm still, immersed in it all the time. This is like my trauma rehab. I mean, truly, I don't. For me, it's like cold turkey. I have been in no chats at all, nobody's. And I have listened to very, very little. So now that I find myself with a lot more time, not more time on my hands necessarily, but more time that I need to find something to entertain me while I do other things, because that's been YouTube for me for quite a while. So yeah, catching up with a lot of things that have been in my various queues, podcasts I've been going back and listening to, and catching up on my Netflix. And last night, my husband and I watched the first 4 of 6 episodes of Griselda. It's fantastic. Sofia Vergara is playing Griselda Blanco, and even wearing, in one of the trailers, they do a little interview about how they attempted to take, because listen, not only is it hard to take a very unattractive woman and make her gorgeous, it's equally as difficult to go the opposite way. So Sofia Vergara is stunning, and Griselda Blanco, well, I was gonna say is dancing, but she's someplace much warmer. She's very happy. They did her a major solid. Okay, I'm talking, it would be like, oh, I'm not going to make the obvious comparison, but just think about, maybe somebody else that, I'll just leave it right there. I'm sure y'all can, somebody in the community that, if somebody came to me and said, "Oh, we're doing a YouTube movie," and no. Anyway, they did her Griselda Blanco at her youngest, hottest. She was never hot. She was never even attractive. At her best, she never ever looked as good as the uglier version of Sofia Vergara. She would go every day into makeup for several hours. She is wearing a prosthetic nose, prosthetic teeth, multiple wigs, and there was something else they did that I can't remember. But I was a little skeptical, because for me, Sofia Vergara very much brings to mind Lucille Ball, or in the respect that she started doing, very funny, like comedy, but obviously is capable of dramatic roles as well after seeing this. She's never been a big fan. I mean, I've never been a big fan of her, mainly because the voice is just annoying to me. Not the accent, but I don't know. I don't care for her in comedy. That's what I'm saying. But she is stunning. I mean, oh, that was the other thing. Her eyebrows. They covered her eyebrows with a special tape. And then she's wearing human hair eyebrow wigs. My only issue with it, and it's by the producers of Narcos, and you will see 1 or 2 of the characters from Narcos has a small part in this. And while the acting is fantastic, the production value is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Here's my issue with it. And I looked at my husband and we both thought the same thing. I said, my only problem with this is they are very much glorifying Griselda Blanco. Griselda Blanco was an absolute evil bitch who wrought misery and destruction in countless lives. If you've never seen the documentary Cocaine Cowboys, watch that. That's about Griselda. My God, if I'm not mistaken, I think she even killed one of her own kids. But that's my only complaint, is they very much, I have to tell you guys this because I turned to my husband and I said, oh my God, I cannot, this is how top-notch the production is. And anybody in this chat or anybody who listens, if you are from Florida or if you've lived in Florida from the 80s, the early 80s until probably early 90s, maybe mid 90s, at one time, we had the best department store, and it was a Florida chain that we had in Florida. It was called Burdines. And there is a scene in Griselda, probably, I think it was episode 3 or 4. She's out running around doing things, and they pan the camera to the back seat, and there are 2 Burdines shopping bags. That's how, and nobody outside of Florida would even understand why that's a big deal. That is a huge thing. That's how much they researched the props, the clothes, the hair, all of it. It is absolutely period correct. Even down to tiny details like those Burdine shopping bags. When I saw those, I said to my husband, holy shit, that's unbelievable. So, yeah, so watch it. I recommend it, but they definitely are glorifying her a bit. And that's not cool. Okay. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? You're the door holder today. Hi, Becca. Happy Saturday. Hi, Bo. How are you? Hey, B10. How are you? I hope you're well. Yes, Crazy Nurse. I am in my courtroom attire, and this is my gavel. Sorry, I have my phone in the bowl. Hey, SoFlo, do you remember Burdines? I bet you do. Hey, Camry, how are you? Hi, Caribbean, how are you? I'll tell you what. Let me say something else. That speaks to this point. When you stop consuming anything from your usual haunts, I mean, I feel the same way. Like and that, listen, it's no shade to any of the people. In fact, I take my hat off to you because I could not do it. I couldn't make this my living because no, because if you're going to make a living at this, that is just like, that's nuts to me. I couldn't do it. So even if I don't like you and you make a living this way, props for being able to do it. For me, So when I started watching this trial, that's why in the beginning I said it's kind of come full circle for me, because this is what I came here for. This is what I thought I was going to do. And this kind of thing and criminal trials very much played to my strengths and my useless talents. So when I really started watching this, and right now at present, I am, let me tell you how, I'm not in day 2 yet. Let me see how far I am into day 1. Because at the end of this, I'm going to ask you guys if, all right, day 1 on law and crime. And of course, I can't review anything from Law and Crime because they love to strike a bitch. All right, I'm in an 8.5 hour stream from day 1. I'm at 5 hours and 49 minutes. I can very easily catch up this weekend. I do not care to watch these in real time because I can't stand the sitting and the waiting and the sidebars and the ending the streams and whatnot, which is what this judge does. But if y'all want to try some kind of, we could do it one of 2 ways. I could either do it live in real time and just do commentary, which means bring your sleeping bag because we'll be here for a month. Or we can be 1 day behind and then I review the previous day, and then we don't have to deal with the commercials, the the sidebars. And when this judge goes to sidebar, she doesn't even leave the camera on. She shuts the whole stream down on the channel that, oh wait, that was Law and Crime. What I'm going to be showing you is from one of the local Metro Detroit area channels, one of those affiliates. So, and I know I think there's several people that are watching this in real time. Hey Zen, how are you? Hi Rachel, how you doing? Hey Kathy P, how are you? Hi Beth. Rowdy, happy Saturday. Hi Laura, thank you. It's just jeans and heels. I was gonna wear the white shirt and then that tie caught my eye. I was like, and it was actually knotted from the last time I stole it out of the closet. I'm very happy to report that the spot, I made myself a cup of tea and I went to put the spoon in the sink and I looked down and I was like, there was right there was what I wasn't sure, you can see it a little bit. I wasn't sure if it was just water that had, dripped down from my hand. Fortunately, it was. I hope not. I very much doubt that will happen because whenever someone is convicted of a crime and is going to prison, they do what's called a pre-sentencing report. And that's typically done by the Department of Probation, I believe. And it's a scoring system, basically, is what it is. And they take all kinds of things into consideration. There's aggravating factors, mitigating factors. They don't call them that in that particular rubric that they use to score. And, when you score between certain numbers, then that kind of determines, that is somewhat what determines what facility you go to. Whether you go to a medium security facility, low security, blah, blah, blah. But I would be shocked because, I mean, let's face it, if the father is convicted, well, I mean, it was the extremely poor judgment of the parents that led to this, at least in large part. So to allow them to be in the same facility, no, that would be like a reward, as far as, you know, the prosecutor for fashion police is concerned. And these prosecutors, yeah, they are they much like myself, they can't stand either one of these assholes. So of course they just can't say it, but I can. Hey, Pink Stripe, how are you? Yes, they do seem to have more rights than the victims. That is for sure. And kind of like my thoughts on, you know, control and things that we could do to make that better while not being overly restrictive on those of us that can have whatever we want. I also have some thoughts on things we could do to make the justice system. This is the best system in the world. But that doesn't mean it can't be improved upon. And I definitely have thoughts on that as well. Queen of the South, no, I don't think that was. I watched Queen of the South. Oh my God, several seasons of that. Yes, Griselda Blanco died. Griselda Blanco was convicted for drug crimes. I can't. It's been so long since I watched, but anything about her. But she was eventually deported back to Colombia, and she wasn't there long before she was assassinated in her own country. And the only other thing I'll say about Griselda and the Netflix series, in the very beginning, it's just, you know, a black screen and then text comes up. And it's they put 3 pieces of text up in quick succession. And the first one says, "The only man I was ever afraid of," and then the next appears and it says, "was Griselda Blanco." And then the final piece of text that comes up, and you know, it's in quotations, and the final piece of text that comes up said Pablo Escobar. So what does that tell you? And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think she was too excited to go back to her home country of Colombia, because she knew what was waiting for her. That you don't. In the movie Cocaine Cowboys, I do believe there is a quote that, loosely paraphrasing, was, if you ever did a line of cocaine from then they gave a period of year, chances are it was Griselda Blanco's. Yeah, she was an entrepreneur in the she broke the glass ceiling of Narcos. She really was. She was the first and maybe only female narco trafficker. And yes, Pink Stripe, you watched it all. I'm gonna finish it tonight. Hey, London girl, how you doing? Oh, yes, Kathy, and anybody else. And I heard that on Laura's one day. I had no idea. Do you know how many years I paid for friggin' Netflix while having T-Mobile, and I could have gotten it for free? I was like, are you shitting me? T-Mobile, Apple TV, AAA. I don't know if you get the top tier AAA roadside, probably not, but shit, even if you get anything serious for like a year, I think, I was shocked and I had no idea. Oh, Netflix is outrageous. I had gotten rid of it because, I have that, I like to call it unconventional cable. It's the kind of cable where I get 15 HBOs, 20 Cinemaxes. Let's just say it operates in a very gray area that that bounces off of servers all over the world. There's a name for it, but I probably don't need to be talking about that any more than I already have. Hey, Slim Jim, how are you? Oh, I hope you're having a good weekend as well. Hey, Glow with Glow, how are ya? Okay, we're getting there. I'm running. Hey, Emmy, how are you? I'm good. I hope you're well. Hey, Notre Dame, how are you? Oh, don't you worry. I've got that clip all queued up. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, we're going to watch 2 clips. We are going to watch, and in full disclosure, I'm not looking to be here 19 hours. So we're going to watch the opening statements. We're not going to do the prosecutions because it's very standard fare. There's nothing overly exciting. The defense attorney, on the other hand, is what inspired this live. So we are absolutely watching that. And then we are going to watch the exchange that took place at the end of court yesterday between the defense attorney, what the hell's that bitch's name? Shannon Smith, and Karen McDonald, and what's his name? Mark Keast. Yes, it was this defense attorney is who one of the dumber tragedy pimps in this space who fancies herself a jailhouse lawyer. Well, this woman is who she would be if she was a real lawyer and had 50 more IQ points, much better hair, and wore, clean clothes. But that is, yeah, she is. I find her to be incredibly, well, I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag too early, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Shannon Smith. I wasn't from the beginning when I watched I've pretty much watched all the probable cause hearing. I've watched a lot of this. So it's not like I've just watched the last part of one day. No. And I watched all of Ethan Crumbley's hearings. It's not is it a Miller hearing? I want to say it might be called a Miller hearing. Crazy Nurse, if you have a moment, can you just see if that is called a Miller hearing? It's a hearing that has to be had when any juvenile is facing life without parole. And for some reason, Miller hearing is sticking in my. Hey, Fairy Meadows, how are you? Oh, you know what? That might not be in the clip I have, but that is what they're going to be discussing. I just didn't hear her say it because I think I will, trust me, I'm going to find that and I'll find it on one of the affiliates, but that is what they're discussing. Oh, wait. Notre Dame. Who do you have secondhand embarrassment for? Oh, God. Okay. Now I got to go back up again. Who says she's a trophy wife? What the? Guilty! Horrible! Oh my God. That blows my mind. She should be sanctioned for that. Honest to God. I don't know if she can be. I mean, just stand by. She's first on the list. But who says she's a trophy wife? Shannon Smith? Well, bitch, I don't know where your husband buys his trophies, but I think I take issue with that. But if you're a trophy wife, girl, call me. You need styling, okay? I got a few things I scribbled down. Not that I need to, because they're oh my God. And her fashion sense and her highlights are on point times 1,000. Miss Shannon Smith, you do not even reside in the same fashion galaxy as your prosecutor counterpart. I'm pretty sure. See, no, I can't let it all out yet. Okay, it is a Miller hearing. That's why it sounded familiar, because it's a Miller hearing. Oh, tattoo burning. See, look at that. Hey, ripples in time. You guys are on the same page as me. Okay, so do y'all want me to read some of this article from the Detroit Free Press? Do you want me to just go right in to the commentary? I'm fine either way. I just thought for anyone who maybe hasn't been following it closely, the article's quite lengthy, but I can get through it in probably 10 minutes. Let me see. Let me pull it up and maybe just hit the highlights. Well, let me get the consensus of the chat, because there's no sense in, hey, all signs say yes. Do y'all want me to read some of this article or no? Just get right on into it. Because what I could do, let me do the commentary, because it seems to me, based on what I'm seeing, that most of you are pretty well versed in this case and the history and the parties, and so let's just do that here. I'll do this. I'm gonna put this link in the chat. This is a great article, and if anyone wants a good article that gives all the history for the most part, and then everything that's going on now, that's a good one. Okay. All right. So let's just pull up opening statements. And like I said, y'all, Let me copy this too. Here is the link for the first video we're going to watch. This is from, let's see. Oh, I copied the web address. Hold on, I'm going to let the ad run. Okay. Let me share it this way too. That was the full website link. This is probably going to look exactly the same, but just in case, there it is. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Oh shit, I didn't mean to get rid of that. Do you all want to hear the prosecutor, Mark Keast, in his opening? I mean, I'm fine to play it. The thing is, y'all know that I have to do commentary on this, so I don't get a strike. I've never played anything from this news channel. Shit, I try never to play anything from news channels. Hey, Amethyst Moon, how are you? Oh, that's so sweet of you. I appreciate that. If this helps you get through your work day, well, I accomplished something today, didn't I? So the only reason I don't really feel the need to play him is because I'm pretty much in lockstep with his assessments. Oh, really? Notre Dame. Wow, that's interesting. I just know that they are absolutely notorious for striking. So, but I'm going to find out about that. And if there's anybody that knows for certain about Law and Crime having the pool camera, but I've got this one already. So, but I am going to find out about that because I would love to be able to use. It would make it a lot easier for me if I could use Law and Crime. All right, so I'm not going to play his. It's like I said, there's nothing. I'm going to get it right up to where she stands up. Oh, I think we do need to look at a few. Let's see. I want to get a good shot of Mother Crumbley. Woo, damn. To say prison hasn't been kind to that bitch is, oh, my God. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, just seeing what prison does to one's appearance, well, that's enough of a deterrent for me never to go there. Yeah, I have no interest in seeing what color my hair is. I don't know. I haven't seen it in decades. And I'm not interested in finding out. And while I can rock orange, it's not my go-to. Horizontal stripes, nobody ever. Crocs, yeah, as long as they're my own designated pair and other dirty feet haven't been in them, well, I could even deal with the Crocs. But no. Yeah, well, poor Jennifer, she must have been, I don't know if it's the stress or do audio only from Law and Crime or from this affiliate. I don't, because I'm going to do commentary on this and I don't know. And it's from 2 days ago. I don't know why they could strike me. Kathy, you've used it. All right, we're going to find out for certain about the the long crime if they're the pool camera, and if that means everybody can use. I'll find out. Okay. So this is going to be Shannon Smith, Jennifer Crumbley's defense attorney. This is her opening. Should I wonder, maybe I'll do fashion police on her first. Let me see if I should back that up just a teeny weeny little bit. Okay. Yes, I'm going to. Let's see, what's the time? 13:11. I'm just scrolling to see if we get a good shot of the defense table. All right. All right, here we go. Y'all know I'm going to be under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, research, education, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Fair use is a use that might otherwise be prohibited. All right, here we go. Full screen this. Okay, well, let's just start off here, shall we? Shannon, what the fuck is going on with those highlights? Do you, I mean, I saw those and I was like, what? Come again? Does she go to the beauty college to get her hair done? Who wants highlights like that? I don't get it. She's got nice hair too. That's what's really bizarre about this. Why do we just have a big old like patch of orange? That's, ma'am, you cannot go from hair that color brown, and she's got beautiful brown hair. But you cannot go from that color to blonde like this, which I'm assuming is what she's going for, unless she said, I want you to put orange highlights in there. Maybe she did, I don't know. But I don't know if those foils bled. I don't know if they use foils. I mean, that actually looks to me like old school, like what we used to do when I was in middle school, and I would beg my mother to buy me Sun-In, which is basically just peroxide. And I thought it would take my, well, back then I had light brown hair, but not light enough for peroxide to turn it, Farrah Fawcett blonde, like I was hoping for. You would get these like plastic shower caps, and they had little bullseyes all over them. And then you had like a metal, what looked like a knitting needle, and you would stick it in the bullseye and you pull the hair out and then, paint it. Frosting is what we used to call that. Very old school. That looks like frosting. That's what that looks like. And it's just ugly. It's orange and it's very ill placed. I don't understand it. But nonetheless, here we go.
Because I don't need it.
Okay.
I just have a few notes.
Sure. She has beautiful hair. She has lovely, natural. I'm assuming the brown is, at least somewhat natural. And it looks like it's thick and gorgeous. Do you remember like a bowl cut, they used to call it? Little kids would get it, or boys. And it literally, like, mom put a bowl on your head and then took scissors or a clipper or what. That looks like she's got the bowl cut of highlights, frosting, as opposed to her. Look at this. Now look at this gorgeous head of. Now, while Karen McDonald doesn't have, her hair itself is not as, looks like she doesn't have as much, and it's not as thick as Shannon Smith's. She needs to give Shannon her stylist number, because Shannon, I'm telling you, I don't, you're a trophy wife. Well, okay, I didn't even know Michigan had those, but well, I should take that back, because the Upper Peninsula in Michigan is a very bougie, swanky area. But I don't know. When I hear trophy wife, I'm sorry, I just don't think Detroit or Michigan or whatever. I'm sure that's going to get me in trouble. But no, you need to get a new stylist. And while you're at it, ma'am, the monochromatic power suit is very reminiscent of 1980s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And I think we know my feelings on white shoes. They should be illegal. I don't give a shit who makes them. And I'm also not a big fan of pantyhose, or a fan at all of pantyhose. Now, the only thing I'm going to say is I know it is very cold in Michigan. It's wintertime, and I'm going to just go ahead and call them tights. However, they look very similar to pantyhose, which, no. Nope. Okay, carry on. Those highlights. Oh my God, what is that? Look at that. Like, oh, it's fucking horrible.
Sorry, Judge, just trying to.
Oh, the judge. The judge is Cheryl Matthews. I do believe that she has been on this case from the very start. And I have to say, I think that she has a fantastic judicial temperament. But I think that I could see this. I haven't watched enough, but let's just say I'm hoping. Actually, you know, I have seen her spar in earlier hearings, motion hearings and whatnot. Probable cause hearing. I've heard her go back and forth with Shannon. So maybe I won't say what I was going to say. She's got a great judicial temperament. She's exceedingly fair. But I hope that she does not. I've seen some things already that if it was me, not another word. Sit down. I said no more. Sit down, or I'll hold you in contempt. Yeah, I would not have a good judicial temperament. No, I would be the fuck around, find out judge. That's who I would be. Yeah, I'd be the one who the lawyers would say, oh boy, yeah, that one, she's tough. Yeah. But I like the judge a lot. I just hope that this trial, this is going to be a marathon. This is not a sprint, and and it's very contentious between the attorneys. So I could foresee things getting very out of hand, and and when I say that, I'm speaking about Shannon here and her. I find her to be borderline. She's pretty unprofessional, and that's the nicest thing I'm going to say about it. Get all your. Oh my God! Woo! Well, Jennifer, girl, I'm so glad to see that at least in your case, karma does exist, at least some small way. Because my goodness, you look a lot different than you did. Wow, Well, damn, Betty may be giving you a run for the money in the hair department. Good Lord, girl. Your hair didn't look like that when you went in. And I'm not talking about the gray. Ooh, looks like I wonder if she's up at night worrying about her fate. By the looks of that hair, which is at least, looks like she's got at least half the strands she started with. And clearly they're letting her wear her own wardrobe, which I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with what they're putting her in. She looks like a slovenly mess. So if you're gonna let her wear her civilian clothing, well, could we at least pick something out that I mean, it's like if fucking Fiona or Shrek was wearing a cardigan. That, like Jennifer. I mean, I get it. You don't have. Well, she does have. Are those Michael Kors glasses? Does Michael Kors do? Does he provide eyewear for? Gosh, if we could get him on Jennifer's wardrobe. Anyway, just put her in something. I mean, she doesn't. Well, she couldn't even if she wanted to. I'm not suggesting that we put her in Shannon's monochromatic power suit from her, days of watching LA Law and whatnot. But I think we can find a pony's. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. If you have not been following this from the beginning, Jennifer and James, they have been represented by Shannon, and Shannon has a partner in her law firm. They have been, up until whenever they decided to sever the trials, they were always in court together, and both their lawyers were with them. Even though each one was represented by, their specific lawyer from the firm. And each time the judge they would have to give a verbal allocution that, yes, they understood that what's in each client's best interest may diverge. And clearly they did. And that, basically they just had to give the disclaimer that, this is not, you might not want to do this. She looks nervous.
On my way to court today, I blasted Taylor Swift to warm up.
Are you fucking 12 is my question. You're a Swiftie. Okay. This is a trial, a manslaughter trial, where your client, her offspring, her spawn of Satan, killed 4 people, I believe. Might have been 5. And this is how you start off, by telling the jury, on my way to court this morning, I blasted Taylor Swift. Well, bitch, if it was me, that wouldn't have been on my playlist. Like maybe Metallica, 9 Inch Nails. I don't know. Taylor Swift, no. I also don't shop at Claire's Boutique, but that's neither here nor there. Just what a stupid thing to say. I mean, to me, it is so flippant. It's stupid. It's apropos of nothing.
My voice and calm my nerves. And
they don't give a fuck.
There was a line in one of her songs that summarized what this case is about.
I came in like a wrecking ball. Oh no, that's Miley Cyrus. Never mind.
Band-Aids don't stop bullet holes.
No shit.
And that's what this case is about. It's about
bullet holes. Yeah.
a prosecution attempting to put a Band-Aid on problems that can't be fixed with a Band-Aid.
No. I would say it's about finally a prosecution who has some balls and says, you know what? Enough of this shit. It's time that somebody takes the people who are responsible for this bag of shit, because let's keep in mind he was 15. If not for them, at least in very large part, he wouldn't have been able to do this. I meant to read these numbers off before we started. In 2023, according to the website I looked at, which was page 1 on Google, 38 school shootings. In 2023, mass shootings. And the reason I clicked on this one, which I believe was either the first or the second one, the website, it said there have been more mass shootings than days in the calendar year. 627 to be exact. People are sick of this shit happening. And we cannot just sit here every time this happens and say the same old bullshit, do the same old bullshit about, right to bear arms. And we get it. But if you raise something that is so fucked up that it goes and opens fire at school, and you had many warnings that this kid was severely troubled, and they did nothing. I hope this is one of many to come. Not all parents, obviously, but these people were so derelict in their duty, not only as parents, but how about as a decent human being? So that the thing you raised doesn't go out and destroy many lives, because it's not just the lives of the people that he killed and injured. It's everybody that loves those people. And that bag of shit sits in a cell getting, 3 hots and a cot and an iPad. What? I mean, if I had my way, I would take him right on out of the gene pool of humanity. I really would, and wouldn't have a problem doing it. He will bring nothing to this world. The only thing he has brought to this world is destruction. And if not for her client and her client's husband, maybe this wouldn't have happened. If they had gotten this kid the help that he so obviously needed, and you don't have to be a shrink to figure that out. And she wants to stand up here and talk about fucking Band-Aids don't cover bullet hole. What? Yeah, no shit. Thanks for the obvious.
The prosecution has charged Jennifer Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter in an effort to make the community feel better.
Fuck yes. How about some good old-fashioned retribution? I'm all for that. I mean, isn't the justice system supposed to be about justice? Although I don't know how, if you've got a dead child, well, there is no justice, but I don't want to run into her at fucking Whole Foods while I'm out shopping. And she's living her best life, enjoying a beer while she rides her horse.
In an effort to make people feel like someone is being held responsible.
Someone should be held responsible. He was 15.
In an effort to send a message to gun owners.
Oh, I think that's a fantastic idea. Check.
And none of those problems will be solved by charging Jennifer Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter.
Oh, I beg to differ. If her being charged and or convicted gets one asshole idiot parent like herself to lock their guns up, put them in a safe, put a trigger lock on them, anything, if one parent steps back and says, shit, you know what? Maybe I haven't been so diligent about that. So save it, lady.
It's the same effect as when your child comes to you with a boo-boo and you give them a Band-Aid.
A boo-boo.
That they put on that doesn't take away the pain and can't undo what's happened to them.
No, but pardon the turn of phrase, it will staunch the fucking bleeding. I mean, I hate to be so blunt about it.
And
what? Well, let's stick with her Band-Aid and boo-boo analogy. Well, what do? Do you look at your kid and say, oh, well, carry on. What do you want me to do about it?
This case, a Band-Aid will never bring back the lives that were lost by Hannah, Justin, Tate, and Madison Baldwin.
No, it won't. But maybe it'll give their family and loved ones a little peace, knowing that they're not going to run into the Crumbleys out in the wild.
And the evidence in this case is absolutely horrific.
Yeah, Your Honor will stipulate to that.
Much of the evidence is going to make you sick and disgusted and scare you, traumatize you. And quite frankly, there's no reason the evidence needs to be shown. Mrs. Crumbley.
Well, wouldn't you just love that? No, there's every reason the evidence should be shown. Because if not for her, at least in large part, there wouldn't be any evidence to show. We wouldn't be sitting here doing this. But I'm sure you and your shitbag client would very much love it if we didn't show the reality of what he did. And I promise you, you know who besides the family members, I'm listening to this, and just as a parent, where I always go, is thinking, my God, can you imagine? You're sitting on this jury and they don't have a choice. They have to see this. They will never unsee it. And for her, I mean, how fucking disrespectful to the victims and the family of those victims that this bitch doesn't even think that the jurors should be able to see the result of her inaction and wrong actions. No, they need
myself, everyone in this courtroom agrees that on November 30th, 2021, the worst possible thing happened when Ethan Crumbley used a gun and terrorized the Oxford High School.
He didn't just terrorize. He mowed people down like he was hunting them in cold blood. He mowed them down. So let's call it what it is. Terrorizing, yes, but I think that's minimizing it a little. And it didn't happen in a vacuum.
So as you are watching the evidence, I ask you to keep in mind that much of what the prosecution is going to show you is going to alarm you and disgust you and be horrifically sad and tragic. But that evidence is about about the shooter.
I wish I knew why. I want to find out. And if anybody knows, I'm not in the comments right now because I've got to keep stopping this. And I can't really talk and listen and read the chat at the same time. I'm going to pull the chat up on my phone. I'll try and, glance down. It's just, it slows me up.
And in this case, we have agreed to call Jennifer Crumbley's son the shooter because he is the shooter and he is the one, as you will see from the evidence, who was responsible for the tragedy that unfolded on November 30th of 2021.
This bitch was Larry Nassar's attorney? Oh, God. Hey, Gina, how are you?
Prior to November 30th, Jennifer Crumbley was the mother to a 15-year-old son, and she did not have it on her radar in any way that there was any mental disturbance.
Then she is a blind, deaf, and dumb moron. The house wasn't that big. And as someone who raised a son who has never been in trouble, occasionally in school, Logan's talking too much in class, but never been arrested, etc. Let me tell you something. When he lived in my house, he knew. If I want to go in your room anytime I want and turn it upside down, I will. Nothing is yours in this house. It's mine. Now, I very rarely had to do that. But if I ever thought, especially, I'm thinking of high school. When we got to high school and he was doing what kids in high school do, experimenting with things. Well, if I felt the need to go snooping through his room, you bet your ass I did. And that's what good parents do. And I didn't do it often. And I think there was only one time I actually told him I did it. And it was because I found what I was looking for. Yeah. So, but that's what good parents do. Because you want to know what your kids are up to. This fucking waste of skin, he's out in the backyard torturing baby birds. I tell you what, that was some of the sickest. I couldn't even listen to it. When he was having his Miller hearing, I had to walk away from. I couldn't listen to that. They were playing recordings of the commentary he was doing in the videos that he made of himself torturing those baby birds in his garage. But oh no, she had no reason. Bullshit. That kid did not wake up one day and just decide to be a serial killer, a spree shooter. No. No, didn't happen like that.
That her son would ever take a gun into a school, that her son would ever.
Why? He was troubled as hell, and he had a fascination with weapons, guns in particular.
Ever shoot people. The evidence at trial is going to show you that Jennifer Crumbley did the best she could.
Well, she failed. She probably did the easiest thing and most convenient for her.
As a mother,
which is never
to a child
usually
who grew up into a teenager and had no way to know what was going to happen.
Really?
Jennifer Crumbley raised a son that she took to soccer practice, basketball, bowling. She's the kind of mother who
don't forget the range, the gun store, the range. Don't forget that. Don't forget those little field trips.
When a mole on his back changed color, a 1 millimeter mole, she took him to urgent care. She's the kind of mother,
as any mother would do. I mean, a mole that changes colors, yeah, everybody knows that could be skin cancer. So, okay, we'll yeah, Mother of the Year.
Mother who's texting her husband who is at home working from home. Where is Ethan? Where is Ethan? Where is Ethan? At 3:14 in the afternoon.
Too little, too late. How come she wasn't texting Ethan when she was off getting drunk on her horse? And he was texting her that he was seeing demons and whatnot in the kitchen. I'm just wondering about that.
Getting texts back saying, Ethan gets home at 3:16, what's your problem? And she keeps texting, where is he? Where is he?
Oh, and that little, those few little words she just said right there, that is why the judge repeatedly, every time those two would come to court together, Jennifer and James, that's why she would make them verbally acknowledge that they understood that each of them may have different self-interests. Do you hear what she just said? He comes home at 3:06, what's your problem? Yeah, because now is when it gets real, and it's going to be about blaming it on, oh, she was a great mother. He just sucked as a father. You watch.
You will see that if anything, Jennifer Crumbley was a hyper-vigilant mother.
Are you serious right now? Hyper-vigilant.
Who cared more about her son than anything in the world.
Except maybe the affair she was having, her horses, and her wine.
Jennifer Crumbley is not a perfect parent, and we don't claim that she is.
Nobody is.
But what the evidence is going to show in this case is that the prosecution has very selectively pulled out slivers of evidence from a forest of trees to try to convince you that there was something wrong with Ethan, and Jennifer Crumbley, as his mom, should have known.
Check. Or how about the day they got called to the school? The day that this tragedy happened. And they didn't even take him home. They did not want to. When he was caught in math class, putting the drawings on his paper of bullets and, what looked like blood, and the school was concerned enough, and just wait, because the school's getting sued too. They are also bear responsibility for some of this, because they didn't insist that they take him out of school. I mean, if you're going to call the parents into the office, you're so concerned, you call them into the office and you tell them that he must be evaluated by a mental health professional within, I think they told them 3 days, 2 to 3 days. Is that business days or school days? And it didn't raise any alarms with fucking any of them. When mom and dad were like, yeah, no, okay, well, I gotta go. I gotta get to the meeting. Okay, we'll take care of it. Are you kidding me? My son was never one of those kids. My son loved school, if even only for the social aspect of it. My son was always like the mayor of the class. Like, he's kind of like he's got a lot of me. He's very, he's chatty and socializes. He really liked school for that. The other stuff he didn't care so much about, but the few times I ever was called to school, like, if he said he didn't feel good or anything like that. Well, no, I'll use myself as an example because it was so rare that I would get called that he wasn't, feeling well and come pick him up. On the other hand, I hated school. And I was the best bullshitter when it came to faking being sick. And my mom, even though I know damn good and well, there were plenty of times my mom knew I was completely full of shit. But she'd take me home. The school calls and says your kid is drawing bullets, blood, somebody laying on the ground on his math paper. And they don't want to take him home. And the school didn't make them. So, ma'am, spare us.
And at the end of the day, these slivers of evidence that are going to be presented to you will have no context and no explanation. And the defense will agree that on their face, it looks bad.
Because it is bad.
But like any of you who look back at text messages sent a year ago, they may look bad without context and explanation.
Well, then I just go ahead and read one or two above them, and then I get the context.
And so we would ask that you reserve any judgment on these slivers of evidence until the defense.
Here's another thing you need to know about her. She can't pick a lane. She's either bitching that, well, it's just a sliver of evidence, and you're not getting, the full context, or she's over there crying a river over, look at it's just voluminous. It's just stacks of it, I can't be expected to pick a lane.
Evidence itself, and we will be presenting evidence in this case.
Oh, can't wait.
To show the context and what was truly happening on these days that the prosecution is going to try to make you believe something more was happening.
I think we got a pretty good idea. Since you brought this up, since you opened the door, while we're here, are you going to be discussing how they went on the run and were holed up in like an empty warehouse? Oh, but of course they were just, trying to figure out how to retain counsel. Well, why didn't they go figure out how to retain counsel at the fucking Hyatt or the Hilton or whatever? Motel 8. What? I don't know. I mean, I've never gone to an abandoned warehouse without electricity in what I think was still fairly cold weather to figure out a very complicated legal situation.
By way of example, the prosecution has one day where they claim Ethan needed help and Jennifer.
Oh, I think they're going to claim Ethan needed help on many, 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 many days.
Crumbley was out with her horse. James Crumbley was with her at the barn. They had just gotten a new horse. Ethan.
Well, come on. I mean, they were having a date night.
And is 15 years old at home.
Seeing what he says are demons and destroying the kitchen.
Claiming there's a demon in the house, there's something going on.
Oh, yeah.
And the prosecution is going to try to use this one little point in time to convince you that Jennifer Crumbley was somehow neglecting her son.
She was. She was absolutely neglecting his mental health.
Much of the evidence in this trial is also going to center around James Crumbley, who is not on trial in this case. He has a separate trial, as Mr. Keese told you. You're going to hear evidence that James Crumbley and Ethan Crumbley liked guns. They had 3 guns, 2 guns that were purchased earlier in 2021, and a gun that was purchased at a Black Friday sale the day after Thanksgiving.
Wow. Like, did we need that detail? Really? At a Black Friday sale. Well, I'm glad to see that they were working on their Christmas shopping early. I mean, and I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way right now. I understand that it is legal to take your minor child, I guess, where they live, to the range and shoot with them. I believe it's legal in all 50 states for a child under 18 to have a shotgun or a rifle. I think that, I don't know, but I think that's the case. And I don't have a problem with the shotgun / rifle for hunting. And that's, obviously with the proper safety and education courses, and for hunting, not hunting humans. However, I personally do not feel like a 15-year-old. See, this is where it gets dicey, because I just, for purposes of respecting what a gun can do, I think obviously if you have firearms in your house, of course they need to be secured properly. And, if you've got children in the house, they do need to be educated on gun safety. That doesn't mean I think that you need to take your 15-year-old to the range and target shoot. I don't have a problem with taking him hunting or, shooting with a rifle or a shot. Are they the same thing, a shotgun and a rifle? I don't know. I'm the least gun fluent in the family. And I've got several immediate family members who have concealed carries and do not go anywhere without a gun. That's not me. But I have mixed feelings on this, and I think that the loopholes that allow people who should not be able to buy weapons, I think that those loopholes should be closed. I think I don't think people should be able to do, gun shows. See, I'm not super educated on these facts, so I don't want to get bogged down in this, because I don't know well enough what I'm talking about. But that's just my feeling. I think I don't want anybody's rights infringed upon who is legally eligible to possess and or carry a gun. It's not about that. It's about making it as difficult as possible for people who should not have them. And that includes mentally ill kids. And I would hope that there's not many more parents like this who, I don't know. I have a problem with glorifying guns with kids. I just do.
In 2021, you are going to hear evidence that James and Ethan went to the shooting range often, that James was responsible for storing the guns, and to be quite frank, Jennifer Crumbley didn't know anything about guns.
Then she had no fucking business being in possession of one or taking her kid to the range. Period. End of story. And it was in her room. My understanding is in a whatever their TV was in, I guess, maybe like like an armoire or something. And you know, they have like a shelf like this where your cable box might go. My understanding was the box that contained the gun was there. It had a lock that was set to 000. It was in her room, presumably in her line of sight. And she doesn't know anything about guns. Well, I don't know a fraction of what my family members know, but I know that I have them in my house, and I know that they're in the safe. I wouldn't have one sitting out on my dresser unsecured.
Jennifer Crumbley, you will hear evidence. She went to the shooting range one time with James and the shooter. And she went a second time after the gun was bought. She was attempting to find a way to spend time with her son, who had just lost a dog.
Why didn't they go spend time at the fucking SPCA petting dogs? I don't know. Maybe they should have gone and had a mother-son day at, I don't know, a shrink's office. I mean, it's just, I don't get it. He lost his best friend. He lost his dog. Why didn't you buy him a dog? Oh, instead you buy him a fucking whatever the hell they bought him. A Sig Sauer. I don't know. Was it a 9mm? What? I mean, what the hell? How stupid. Why was that the go-to? I mean, if it had been me, I'd have said, honey, let's go get another dog.
His friend had moved away from him. She's trying to find a way to connect to him. But on that day, when Jennifer Crumbley went to the shooting range, you will hear evidence that she didn't even know where the gun was or how to put it in the car.
Which makes her an absolute idiot. That just blows my mind. That's how bad her judgment is. She is relying on a 15-year-old to do everything where that gun's concerned. I mean, seriously, like, that leaves me speechless. I don't even know what to say. Because it's just that dumb.
Had her husband prepare the gun to take it to the range. He had hid the gun.
Hi to everybody coming in. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm trying to look down at my phone. So let's see who came in that I didn't see. Glenda, Purple Addict. Hey, T. Marie, Rongo, True Jedi, let's be honest. Okay.
In the bedroom of their home, the gun had a cable lock, a trigger lock in place. James Crumbley.
Is that lawyer bullshit to try and make us think that who gives a shit if it's in place? That's kind of like saying, well, I have a DNR in place, but it's not signed. See, this is kind of shit that pisses me off.
He had the key to the trigger lock that kept the gun secure. James Crumbley used the trigger lock key, took the cable lock off, put the gun in the back of Miss Crumbley's car.
Oh, when they went to the
Mrs. Crumbley simply drove to the gun range. You will see video of their experience at the gun range, and you will see that the shooter is the one showing Mrs. Crumbley how to use the gun.
That's because your client is a dumbass.
At the range. And when they're done at the range,
what
the
does
gun
that
was
tell you?
placed back.
What kind of parenting is that? That you have no idea how to use it, how to secure it, etc. It is a lethal weapon that could kill yourself, your child, someone else. But you think that's a real good bonding thing to do. Take a lethal weapon that you don't know jack shit about. And I tend to believe that. I don't think she did. But I can tell you, I don't care how badly I wanted to bond with my son. There's no circumstance in this world where at 15 years old, I would have allowed him to be responsible for my safety, his safety, and the safety of everyone in the area. No.
Back in the back seat of the car, not back seat, but the back of an SUV. And Jennifer Crumbley drove home and not being responsible for storing the gun and not even knowing where the gun specifically was placed. Jennifer Crumbley left the gun locked in the trunk, the back part of her SUV. And James Crumbley was responsible for getting the gun out, putting the trigger lock back on, storing the gun, and Mrs. Crumbley had nothing to do with that part of what happened.
So here's my prediction, because it's already happening as we see. It's going to be one of these. She's going to blame him. He's going to blame her. And they can't force a husband and a wife to testify against each other. There are exceptions.
Over the next couple of days, this is right after Thanksgiving, the family is picking out their Christmas tree, talking about Christmas presents.
Do they hang like little revolver ornaments on it? What, like horses maybe?
There was certainly some sadness in the shooter's life, but
watch her. Because what I see is a woman, when I have watched her in the past in court, I've never seen much crying. You'll see a lot of like what you're getting ready to see, which to me is, I believe some of it is real hurt and pain for herself, for the son that she failed so miserably, because she did. She did. Even though I would gladly see him removed from the gene pool and the earth. That doesn't change the fact that she failed him. His father failed him. But what you're not going to see, what I've not seen, is tears. I see a lot of quite possibly genuine emotion, but I think it's for all the wrong people.
Nothing that would have amounted to any reason to believe he's going to shoot people or commit a school shooting.
I guess they never never looked around in their garage and or his bedroom where he had dead animals that he had tortured. How about looking in his phone? Because I know my son always knew, I pay that bill. If I say, put your phone in my hand, oh, you will put it in my hand. And if you don't, you lose it. And by the way, I'll take your phone away anytime I damn well please. That's a privilege, not a right. So I don't want to
hear your
all
testimony that on the day of the shooting.
And that's not easy. It is not easy taking those hard lines. But somebody has to be the adult. Children do not raise themselves. They are not. One of my favorite sayings when raising my son was, they're not plants. They're not like ferns. Then you can't just, give them food and water. They need much more than that.
Jennifer Crumbley went to work. She is essentially the breadwinner at this time. Mr. Crumbley was in between jobs. He's about to get a job offer. Mrs. Crumbley is trying to keep the household finances up. She's at work, and she
apparently, something tells me that her diet's got a lot of starches in it. Well, girl, do some jumping jacks. I don't know. I'm worrying about your cholesterol. No, not really. I don't give a shit.
She finds out through an email and text message that her son has drawn this alarming drawing the prosecution put on the screen. Jennifer freaks out when she sees the drawing. You will see the text messages that show she's urgently texting her husband, emergency, call me now, and she races out of work and goes to the school.
But doesn't see the need to take him home with her? I'm just wondering, since she was so freaked out. If I had to guess, if that is true and she was freaking out, my guess would be that it would be more because she was mortified at how it made her look. That'd just be my guess. Because I know if I got that call, holy shit, that would be on my list. Just let's be real. That would not be the one and only thing on my list, as it probably was on hers. I think she was probably pissed. I think she was mortified that it made her look like a horrible parent, etc. And all of that is fine, as long as her first concern was getting that kid immediate help. Nobody would have had to tell me he needs to be seen by a mental health professional within whatever it was, 2 or 3 days. Yeah, no. And why didn't she go through his backpack? Since she
arriving at the
mortified.
school, she meets with Sean Hopkins, the school counselor. She meets with Nick Ejak.
I can't even understand those fucking highlights.
And she meets with James Crumbley
so
and the shooter. And they are all in a room together.
And she really has
where the shooter explains why he has put together this drawing and what the drawing means. The family and the school talk about how a counselor would be a good idea for the shooter to get into some kind of counseling.
Oh, no. It was, he must be seen within whatever it was, 2 or 3 days. Come on.
The meeting is not nearly as severe as Mrs. Crumbley was initially expecting. Trained professionals at the school who evaluate children represent that the shooter is of no risk to anyone, and they allow him to stay in school.
Well, that's why they're going to be getting sued too, because obviously that was a tragic, fatal error. Maybe laziness? I don't know.
The testimony will show this is not a situation where Jennifer Crumbley refused to leave or refused to take her child from the school.
Oh, really?
She was provided the option of take him home or leave him here. The shooter struggled when they had online.
Well, she was provided the option. Well, maybe it could have gone a little something like this. Oh, you don't want to take him home. You need to get back to work. Get to your horse. Well, I guess he could, I don't know. We haven't heard that part in testimony yet, but that pretty much flies in the face of everything that's been out there about that up to now. But guess we'll find out.
During COVID, it caused him great anxiety to miss school, and he wanted to stay that day. The school was fine with it.
Well, yeah, because he had a plan he needed to enact.
Mrs. Crumbley did leave the school and left the shooter at the school, not knowing he was going to become the shooter within the next few hours. Jennifer Crumbley.
I don't know. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist as a parent to look at a drawing. Your child, by your own admission, has had a lot of loss in his life. He's been telling you he's having auditory and visual hallucinations. He's lost his dog. His best friend has moved away. You get called to school. He's drawing pictures of blood and bullets and someone on the ground. But there's no there. There's no reason to believe. Oh my God, spare us. I mean, it's absurd. It is absurd. What mother would, I cannot rationalize her leaving him there. At the very least, if she had to get back to work, well, she should have said, I'll take her to work with me.
Crumbley, the evidence is going to show you, returns to work, and suddenly there is news that there's an open shooter at Oxford.
So all that I just said, and knowing his fascination with guns, and it never once crosses her mind, oh shit, we got to deal with this. We need to find out what's going on. I would have never left my son at school. Never.
Jennifer Crumbley, it's not even on her radar that her son would be the one with the gun doing anything. Her immediate concern is that her son may be hurt. As she is driving to the school as fast as she can, she has conversations with her husband and becomes aware that the gun at their house is missing. And in Jennifer Crumbley's mind, and you will hear evidence of this, she believes that perhaps her son has done something stupid, like taken the gun and shot it in the air or done something. She knows he's still alive and believes that it's going to be okay. Whatever's happened, they can cross that bridge.
No.
A little bit later, there's more conversations, and Mrs. Crumbley becomes concerned that the shooter is actually attempting suicide. And Jennifer Crumbley texts her son, Ethan, don't do it.
Oh, one of the things that she left out was, and of course this is going to come in, that when mom leaves and goes back to work or wherever she happened to be before the shooting, she texts the shooter and tells him that she's not mad about him drawing ammo and shopping for ammo while he's in school. He just needs to learn how not to get caught. Fuck her. Put her under the fucking jail with her kid. This is so outrageous. And despite the fact that I can't stand this bitch, I'll say this. She's definitely advocating for her client. It's absurd, but she doesn't have a lot to work with. So I will give her that.
It still has not crossed her mind that he would ever shoot another
And
person.
she is more clueless, stupid, and unaware.
Ultimately, Jennifer and James
knows
Crumbley are called to the substation where they learn that their son has become a school shooter and has shot people and that there are fatalities. Jennifer Crumbley will tell you she still could not.
Oh, yes, she's going to testify. Oh, can't wait. What does that tell you? To me, her testifying, that's a Hail Mary, because they already know this is, I think they know how this is going to go. I think the public is tired of this shit. We are so tired of it. We're sick and we're tired of it. And it's time to start doing something. We cannot just continue to sit around wringing our hands. Oh, well, but there's nothing, we can't do this and we can't do that. Don't fuck that. We haven't tried it. We're trying it now. Let's see what happens. At least we know that none of these people are probably ever going to have the opportunity to have their incredibly bad judgment and evil actions wreak any more havoc on this world than they already have. And I'm okay with that. So I think they all see the writing on the wall. I think they know what public sentiment is. And I'm not saying that, please don't misunderstand that as me saying, I don't give a shit what the law says. Charge them. No. Obviously, they have to be able to meet the burden. And if they do, and I think they will, I am just fine with whatever they do to both of these parents. And I think they know it. And this judge, of course, she can't say it and she has to be impartial, but I don't think you have to be a mind reader if you've watched her from the start and the rulings she's made. I think her thoughts are probably in line with mine. But that's just me guessing. So, and that lawyers never want their clients to testify. And typically the only time obviously it's the client's choice. But for her to be saying in the very beginning of this, she's going to testify. Well, it can only be one of two things, logically. It's either a Hail Mary because it's like, look, we're fucked. We are fucked. We have nothing to lose by putting her up there. And it might be the only thing that saves her. I think that's what it is. Or it could be she's really just sold on, oh, this poor woman, these poor people are being victimized. Yeah, I don't think so.
Not believe that was true and went into a complete state of shock and despair and stress and not knowing realizing her life and everyone's life was going to change. And her initial comments are about how could her son have ruined so many lives that day. Jennifer Crumbley
I don't even know your bag of shit, son, and I can come up with an alphabetical list. You can't come up with anything?
He's her son at the substation, and for the first time when he looks at her, his eyes looked black, and it was a son she did not recognize.
As a parent, my guess would be, and this is obviously nothing but a guess, I don't know any of these people, but if I had to guess, this kid was odd. He was probably problematic from an early age. And when I say problematic, I don't mean violent and whatnot. but I think he needed different kinds of parents. He was failed by probably nobody more than his own parents. And sometimes people do what is easy. And I don't think that they gave him what he needed.
Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley go back to their house where law enforcement execute a search warrant. Law enforcement takes their cell phones, which the Crumbleys handed over. The Crumbleys have to go and buy burner phones or track phones so they have something to use to be in touch. They begin to realize,
well, wait a minute. Why does that mean burner phones? See, I don't. Why didn't they just go to their provider and say anything they wanted? All right, we lost them. We want to upgrade. Whatever. They did not have to get burner phones. They wanted to get burner phones.
that there are death threats around their house.
I bet there were.
People are planning riots around their house, and they cannot be in their home.
I don't have a problem believing any of that.
Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley drive to a hotel where they spend the night. They are trying to figure out what is happening, and all Jennifer can think about are the things she believes she can control, like keeping her job, keeping health insurance,
The job, secondary. Think about this. We have all had traumatic things in our lives. Hopefully nothing like this. But we have all had the phone call that comes unexpectedly, the knock on the door that comes unexpectedly, news that just rocks your world for whatever reason. I mean, you think about that. Does your mind right away go to my job, my health insurance? That just doesn't even sound right to me. I think some of this she's making up as she goes along. Your kid has just been accused and hasn't denied killing 4 people. And that's what she's worrying about? Her job and the health insurance? The job, of course you're gonna, but why? What? His health insurance is going to be taken care of. Yeah, to me, when something just sounds odd, it's odd. And that is odd to me.
figuring out money, figuring out lawyers, and trying to digest what has just absolutely tragically unfolded.
Mm-hmm.
In the days following the event, while the prosecution says the evidence will show Jennifer Crumbley is lying, Jennifer Crumbley is truthfully telling the world she had no idea and finding out that she is about to be charged in this Band-Aid effort.
Telling the world she had no idea what? That her kid could do something like this? Well, then she wasn't paying attention.
By the prosecution.
That is so disrespectful for her to be sitting there calling this a Band-Aid. I mean, I call it finally attempting to hold all of the parties accountable within the parameters of the law.
Involuntary manslaughter. Jennifer and James Crumbley go to the bank. They're advised by
I mean, it sucks, but somebody's got to be the example, and it may as well be them.
friends and family, and you will hear testimony that their money could all be taken out of their accounts, and they know they need money to be able to live and hire lawyers and figure.
Wait a minute, what did she just say about their money could have been taken out of their accounts? I want to back that up for a second because I'm not understanding that. 3129.
Their money could all be taken out of their accounts, and they know they need money.
What the hell does she mean their money could all be taken out of their accounts? Why? That I don't understand at all. This isn't it's not a RICO case. It's not a money. I don't understand what in the world that is about. That to me, that's another Hail Mary. That is a Hail Mary that she's trying to come up with a reason why they took all the money out of their accounts, because we can't say that they were gonna run. And what does that tell you? Okay, think about that. I'll tell you what, these two people, they are absolute bags of shit, in my opinion. Their son got a lawyer appointed. Their lawyers were retained. I don't know. Most parents, it would be the opposite. And I truly believe they were going to leave. I think they took all their money out. They got burner phones, and they were staying in a fucking industrial building with no heat and water, I believe. Because maybe they were, I don't know, going to go to Canada. So she's got to say something to get ahead of all this shit that's going to come out. But what does that say about them? If they even considered it, and I believe they absolutely did, and I believe that's what they were going to do. What does that say about them? You have failed so utterly as a parent that the fruit of your loins has done this horrific, evil thing. And what are you going to do? You're gonna run for the hills, and you're gonna leave him with his public defender to figure it out. I mean, these people are fucking horrible. They are absolutely awful. I think they're terrible humans.
Money to be able to live and hire lawyers and figure out what to do. They withdraw all of the money from their bank account. The burner phones they're using, they can't get access to any of their accounts because of this two-part authentication.
So, ma'am, why didn't they just go to their provider and get 2 new phones with all their money they took out? Oh, because they didn't want law enforcement to be able to see what they were talking about. Okay.
Now have to do, so they go to the Metro PCS store where they buy new telephones that they can actually use to access their social media, their accounts, their contacts.
Oh, yeah. So they had no choice because the idiots couldn't get into their accounts because they didn't remember their passwords. Come on. They didn't even keep a deadly weapon locked in a box that had a little combination on it right there. But they were so vigilant about their passwords and internet security that they couldn't figure out the two-step authentication. Give me a break.
And they end up with multiple cell phones.
Oh, they just end up with them.
After that,
there's no there.
They
multiple cell phones
work to find lawyers.
Their accounts empty.
They don't know what to do. They don't understand what they're.
Well, it seemed like they had a decent handle on what to do. Take all your money out and get burner phones. and find a fucking lawyer. Okay. Were they finding a lawyer for their son or just themselves? Oh yeah, just themselves. Okay.
They're being charged with.
Because
They're
there's only two of us that can afford to hire a lawyer, and that's us.
under the stress of knowing their son is gone, and life will never be the same, undoubtedly.
For many, many, many people. But they're worried about their lives are never going to be the same. God, these people are disgusting.
And on Friday, December 3rd, the Crumbleys find out when a press conference is held that they are being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
Wait a minute. They find out by a press conference. They have not been in communication with either the detective or anybody. I mean, maybe that's the way it happened. But I don't know that I believe that. But she's got to spin a yarn to explain all of these very shady looking things that they did.
And at that point,
she's got the benefit of having all the hanky shit and the real strange looking. She's got the benefit of having all of that and all this time to formulate a story around.
They attempt to try to figure out what to do, where to stay, where to go, what to do. And they ultimately ask a friend if they can stay at his art studio until they know where to go and what to do.
Now what she's calling an art studio, I heard the news when it happened, and I believe afterwards, they weren't exactly describing it as an art studio. She's making it sound like some fabulous loft space in the city, in Manhattan somewhere. I remember hearing it was a vacant building in an industrial park area with no heat. And I don't know if it had water. Maybe water, but no heat. I could be mistaken.
They make plans to turn themselves into the court on Saturday morning, because remember, this is late in the day Friday. Saturday morning at 8:30 when the court opens up and does weekend arraignments. And overnight, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, the fugitive apprehension team, the U.S. Marshals have a statewide search claiming that James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley are on the lam. They are running, they are fleeing, they are trying to avoid charges, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. They are at their friend's art studio.
Ma'am, did their friend's art studio, did it have room service and or heat? I won't even ask about the thread count on the sheets. I mean, I know I would always leave like the Hilton to go stay at an empty building with no fucking heat.
They're waiting for instructions, and they are waiting to turn themselves in first thing Saturday morning when arraignments take place at the court.
Who the fuck sits back and says, well, I know that charges have been brought forth, but I don't think I can turn myself in until they do arraignments at court. What the hell are you talking about, lady? I mean, most people, if they've been in contact with counsel, especially, they tell them, you need to turn yourself in. I have called and spoken with blah, blah from the prosecutor's office or the lead detective. And I have told them that we will surrender you at blah, blah time. What you don't get to do is say, well, we're gonna we're not coming in until the day they do arraignments. What are they in fucking Mayberry? Like, they only do arraignments on one day? I'm pretty sure that you have to be seen by a judge within 24, isn't it 24 hours of hitting jail? So I don't know what this bitch is talking about.
James and Jennifer Crumbley are sleeping on a mattress in the middle of the night when police.
Ma'am, don't most people sleep on a mattress? What, like, see, and I'm not a body language expert. I'm not any kind of expert. I'm an armchair couch expert. See, this is why I started a YouTube channel, because I would sit on my couch and scream all this shit at the TV. Or I would tell my husband or whatever. When someone has to throw in oh, my goodness, how ironic. I just came across this word in a book I'm reading, and I was like, what is the definition of that? Because I've always heard the word, but I never really used it. That would be a truism. This is a truism. And that's when well, no, actually, this wouldn't be. That's when you state something that's already a known fact. Hold on. I just find it odd whenever someone thank you for that that info about why we're not using that bag of shit's name. Hold on. I want to get the definition of a truism because I've got it partially right. But I find it odd that she would say they were sleeping on a mattress. Well, no shit. As opposed to what? A fucking tent in the backyard? AstroTurf? I mean, doesn't everybody sleep on a mattress for the most part? A truism. A statement that is obviously true and says nothing new or interesting. Okay, so I guess that is a truism. Yeah, like, why are you throwing that in? Doesn't that go without saying? Oh, maybe because your clients are holed up in an empty industrial warehouse building.
Locate them. You will hear evidence. They're not really hiding. They're standing outside their car, their vehicle, smoking cigarettes. They're standing outside their car, talking on the telephone. They're communicating with various people they know. There's absolutely no evidence.
Are any of those people they know lawyers?
To suggest that they're fleeing.
Except for the burner phones and dumping or taking all the money out of their accounts and sleeping in a warehouse. Except for that. Okay. Got it.
You will see body camera footage where when police come into the art studio to find them dead asleep on this mattress, they are cooperative. They are taken into custody.
What art studio has a mattress in it? I mean, I'm picturing a loft space, like maybe in the meatpacking district or something. I don't think that's what this is, though.
Custody, and they are arrested.
Is this like Andy Warhol's factory back in the day?
The prosecution has grossly misconstrued facts in this case. And I ask that you wait to make any judgment until all of the evidence has been presented and you have seen.
Yes, the jury absolutely needs to do that. I, on the other hand, I don't need to. I think I've seen plenty. But feel free to try and change my mind.
Every detail of it, including Jennifer Crumbley's testimony, and she is going to take the stand and tell you about her life with her son, about the day he became the shooter, and about the day.
Oh, I think he became the shooter many, 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 many days before he actually did it.
he did something she could have never anticipated or fathomed or predicted.
Okay.
She will tell you that when she saw the materials in this case, she learned that her son had not been her son for months, that he had been manipulating her, that he had been hiding things from her.
Well, why didn't she just play mom detective and go serve a fucking search warrant in his bedroom? That's what I would have done.
That he had been sending text messages, alarming text messages to other people.
Oh, so she never looked at his phone ever, apparently. Well, maybe she would have seen that.
You will hear.
As in my house, when you're a minor and I pay your bills, everything in this house is mine. And subject to search and seizure with a no-knock warrant.
That the school never advised Mrs. Crumbley of problematic issues that if she had heard about, she would have jumped right on top of it.
Serious.
Despite the fact the evidence.
Now it's the school's fault because they didn't. Was the school there when the cops found the dead animals that he'd tortured? And I don't know, maybe if she'd looked at his phone, she would have seen him in real time. Well, not in real time, but she would have seen him memorializing the torture of those animals. And maybe that would have clued her in.
This will show that Mrs. Crumbley is on power schools, managing missing assignments by her son in his grades. The school never told her about times the shooter was trying to sleep in class.
Oh yes, because that would have told her that he was going to be a fucking school shooter.
About a test he had failed.
Oh, that
about the shooter being called to the office. Oh, she was never informed.
What is something wrong with her? She just said the school didn't tell her of things that would have alerted her. He fell asleep in class and he failed a test. Wow. My God.
You will hear testimony. She was never informed that the shooter wrote an autobiographical get to know you poster where he says he feels terrible and his family's a mistake. The school never notified Mrs. Crumbley of this.
I will absolutely side with her on that one. That should have been relayed to them. But if that was an assignment, a get to know you, well, I guess he was probably at the age where, well, if she was indeed on this portal, she would have seen he had this assignment. She would have seen what the assignment was, get to know you, whatever. Is it not incumbent upon her to say to little Ethan or school shooter, whatever we're calling him? I mean, I had to use those portals when my son was still school age, and I knew what he had to do. And I would say, oh, I see you've got a paper here, homework in this, project. Well, let me see it. But that I will take her side on this one. If he was, that is troubling. And had I been the teacher, I promise you they would have been informed.
You will hear testimony that the school never notified Mrs. Crumbley that the shooter was having a, quote, rough time when he spoke to the school counselor. You will hear testimony that the school never notified Ms. Crumbley that previous work found in the shooter's files showed that it leaned a little bit towards the violent side. You will hear testimony.
That sounds troubling. But see, I haven't heard about that. So I'm not gonna that I'll wait, and that I want to hear. But I guess just as a generic blanket, if the school saw things when taken in either parts or totality that were concerning, what did she just say? Drawings that leaned violent. That's one of those things where, I mean, you can make a case either way as far as, should she be notified? Until we know what it is and the context in which it was done, I mean, who knows?
That the school never told Mrs. Crumbley about an index card the shooter wrote in class that had odd responses with a drawing of a loaded gun magazine and a person holding it out.
Oh, yes, that definitely. She should have been notified. I don't know how much she would have cared, because look, we see all the things she did not give a shit about. So what's, like, you can't have it both ways, lady. What? I mean, I have no problem believing that the school failed in several respects. But what I'm going to add to that is, I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. Look at what she couldn't even be bothered to respond to the kid when he's talking about auditory and I believe visual hallucinations, because she was riding her horse having a beer. So yes, I'm sure the school dropped the ball on more than one occasion, but I don't think it would have mattered, sadly.
You will hear that Mrs. Crumbley was never told much of the information the school had. And so when the prosecution is urging you not to assign fault to anyone else, at the end of the day, we ask that you pay attention to the evidence that Mrs. Crumbley knew. And quite frankly, when you evaluate that evidence,
Mrs. Crumbley didn't want to know, is what it sounds like. I don't think she wanted to be bothered. I think the kid was a pain in her ass. I think she was probably embarrassed by him because he was strange. I mean, I remember, and I'm not just pulling that out of my ass, I remember hearing as much in other hearings in this matter. Not my words, but that's it. I mean, multiple systemic failures. However, it's her child. The onus falls to her and the father.
Evidence and know what she knew and what she didn't know, and learn the context behind the slivers of evidence this prosecution
willingly clueless and negligent, in my opinion.
Presenting, you will see that this was absolutely not foreseeable. This was absolutely not expected. And I am going to ask that you find Jennifer Crumbley not guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Lady, you got an uphill climb. Uphill battle. I mean, in my opinion, hey, Heather B. Beachy, how are you? Hi, Amy M. I mean, in my estimation, we as, and I'm sure it goes without saying that we're the only country in the world that has these kinds of things happen. And people much smarter than me can't fully articulate why that is. You know, everybody has thoughts on that, and so do I. But I think just as a society, we're tired of this. That we have got to do something. And if they are the sacrificial lambs, so be it. And they're not lambs. They brought all this on. And, you know, obviously there was enough probable cause to charge them. So I just really think that the time for doing what we've been doing, I mean, this is the kind of thing my husband and I will argue about, because he will tell you, when I will say that I think there are loopholes that need to be closed in the laws with gun control, you know, my husband will say something like, well, you know, what are you going to do? If people want to do, if somebody's on a mission, they're going to do it. So what are you going to do if they use a knife? You're going to take all the knives away? Well, no, and that's not exactly the same thing. But maybe this is what needs to happen. Maybe, like I said, if it makes one person pay more attention to what is going on with their kids and to secure their weapons, well, I mean, these are not people who just made one mistake and look what happened. No. Let me see how long this other clip is. I think we can, this one is much quicker. Oh yeah. Oh God. I have to tell you, I am. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, this next one is only 14 minutes, but of course I'll probably turn it into 4 hours. I'm not a fan of what's her name? Shannon Smith. And if I hadn't seen so much of her through other hearings, I wouldn't feel quite as strongly about that as I do, because I have watched her so many other occasions. And I find her very unprofessional at times. She's whiny. She's like a fucking petulant child. I think that the judge needs to rein her in quickly. And I think she has got a formidable opponent in Karen McDonald. I think Karen McDonald is probably a better lawyer. This one she needs to tighten her game up, and she needs to realize and fully appreciate where she is. She seems to, she's very, I just find her to be very whiny, and you can see the sharp contrast between the two of them. So let's watch this. This clip is from, oh, Crazy Nurse. I agree. I mean, you've got your client facing, I don't even know what the maximum penalty is, but prison. You got your client facing prison. And you stroll on up to that podium in your fucking monochromatic power suit from decades ago with your bad frosted hair and start talking about you listen to Taylor Swift on your way in. Come again? To me, it was just time and place, ma'am. Time and place. Not appropriate. It was juvenile. And, nothing against Taylor Swift. I don't give a shit about her either way. She's fine. She's a non-entity to me. I know lots of people love her. I don't love her or hate her. I couldn't care less. She sings some songs that I have liked when they came out, but I just can't imagine being in such a serious. Hi, Pumpkin. How are you? Oh, here comes Bubbles. Hi, baby. How are you? Okay, give me just a minute. All right, let's start this, and even if we don't get through the whole thing. All right, so what we're going to see is the end of day 2, which was yesterday, and apparently shocking. Oh, wait. There was one other thing that happened. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the clip. Bob, what are you doing, buddy? Let me see if I can find this clip. It was her. Shit. It's a long crime clip, so I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to tell you real quick. At the end of day 1, I think it was when the principal of Oxford High testified, and they had to, they showed a video of one of the victims down, and the principal was there, and she was next to him doing what she could, which was nothing. It was too late. There was nothing she could do. Well, at the end of it, apparently she cries through most of it. I mean, well, I'm glad to see she's, got heart. It is so highly inappropriate. I mean, it would be like if you went to the doctor and the doctor started crying when he had to deliver bad news. It's just not appropriate. And what really bothered me about it, and they actually, the prosecutor, Karen McDonald, asked that she be admonished in open court not to have these. Well, so they get done with that testimony, and she stands up and, she's sitting at the table and she's doing this, and Karen McDonald. No, first, Shannon Smith says, they were getting ready to call the next witness, I believe. And she says, Your Honor, can we have a break? Is there any way can I have like 10 minutes? This is so horrible. What the fuck? I mean, first of all, it's very problematic for any number of reasons. Number 1, ma'am, you are representing the woman who is on trial for being the, partial proximate cause of what happened. It's not appropriate when you're her advocate for you to sit here crying. And if I was her client, oh my God, I would not have appreciated that. So there's that. And I think when they came back after the break, I think this is why Karen McDonald wanted the admonishment in open court on the record. She said, Your Honor, you told all of us that we were to, keep our emotions in check, blah, blah, blah. And I think what really bothered McDonald about it, besides the fact that it's unprofessional and It's not exactly good for her client. I think because she had, I'm quite certain, the reaction I had, which is, bitch, you have had this shit for 2 years plus. You have seen all of this. That is not in any way to take away from the horrific nature of what happened. And nobody should ever get callous to that or numb to it or forget about it. But the stakes could not be higher here. You have someone's life in your hands. This is the most serious thing besides first-degree murder that you could be charged with. So to me, I looked at it like a little bit of showmanship. Like, is this a performance piece? Because it just doesn't ring true. Your time to fall apart is in your car on the way home. Just like the judge said. That, she'll get upset when she goes something like, when I go home is when I work all this out. And I think that's kind of how they saw it. Like, is she just putting this on for show? What is this? And I'm not accusing her of that, but I am saying, ma'am, this is not the first time you have seen this. You're in a court of law. You have your client's life in your hands. You don't get to fall apart, okay? Just like when your surgeon has your life in his hands. It's in a different way, but it's your life nonetheless. You don't want your surgeon in there crying. No. So there's that. All right, so this, I have not seen the joke that she's going to admonish her about, but this happened. Notre Dame, I'm going to find it because I have heard this repeatedly. So I've got it. I'm going to find it in Law and Crime before I come back in here again, and then see if I can, sometimes if I'll see what they're wearing and kind of where I can see if I can pick it out in another video. But at the very least, I want to see it for myself. Audibly sobbing. Yeah, that is honest. And you know what? I tell you what, I don't know procedurally if it's enough to do this, but something like that could potentially cause a mistrial. I mean, they could ask. Doesn't mean it would happen, but it's absolutely inappropriate, period, end of story. All right, but this is the end of day 2 where they have another little showdown about appropriate behavior in court. All right, so let me pull this up. And I'll put the link for this in the chat in case anybody wants to go. This is because this is another local affiliate. All right. We're pulled up, right? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let me full screen it. Okay, jury is not in the room. This is the end of the day. Yesterday.
Yes. Okay. I know the court does not like objections in the midst of testimony. There is an officer that is going to be testifying. I have numerous objections to many of his exhibits that are proposed.
Who is it?
Stoya. I'm not sure I'm saying Stoya.
Stoya.
Okay. And Your Honor, I just want to make the record clear. I received all of the materials in this case in over 30 discovery sets of discovery given to me. Okay.
Wow.
Went through all the discovery, obviously, as it came in. I did not get the exhibits that were being used in this trial. They weren't identified. I didn't get them until after day one of jury selection. So I have done my best.
Wait a minute, there's a scheduling order in this case.
Judge, all of the exhibits come from the discovery. This digital evidence was turned over 2 years ago.
Well, she doesn't say she didn't have it.
If you're over 50, you don't want to use traditional makeup. As we age, our skin tends to lose moisture and we all get lines. Traditional makeup make us look older. Powders can be drying and heavy. Foundation could be too flat, making your skin look worse. We need something.
Okay.
I'm not saying I didn't have the evidence. I'm saying that it wasn't identified until after day one of jury selection. So I just want the court to know I'm doing my best to object and to handle the evidence.
I don't envy your job, Ms. Smith, at all. I don't. It's a lot.
I love that.
I
I don't envy your job, man.
It's sad. It's voluminous. I know it's very difficult. But
And you know, how are they getting paid? That's what I want to know. Who's paying them? Because the Crumbleys are both in jail. And I would imagine she is not doing this. We know she's not doing it pro bono. So I would love to know how she's getting paid.
so tell me what you're asking.
Okay, so the issue is I have numerous objections to exhibits they intend to admit. I know the court does not like to have objections, but
No, that's not true. I didn't want to rule on I didn't want a surprise ruling on a motion this morning. I would have been more prepared and also would have told the jury if I were. I don't like the jury waiting for us. There's nothing wrong with objecting to an exhibit.
That is one thing that is fantastic about this judge. She is highly, highly aware of and respectful of the jury and their time. And she rises every time the jury comes in. Not all judges do that. A lot of judges do not. She does.
As someone attempts to introduce it.
Judge, we handed over the exhibit list with very precise pages, and we did that. We weren't required to at a certain time, but we did that. I think the first day we were here, Ms. Smith told Mr. Keese she would be providing her exhibit list to us that night. We did not receive it. So I'm not sure what the purpose of providing an exhibit list is if she's not going to actually go through it and say, these are the ones I want to object to. These are the ones I have an issue with, and we can talk about it. And then the court knows that there's something to argue about before we bring the jury in.
Your Honor.
Okay, well, I think that's what she's trying to tell me now.
I'm trying to tell you that now, and also every time we've been off the record, I've had conversations with Mr. Keese during this next witness. I'm not objecting to any of these exhibits. Mr. Keese, I plan to object to a lot of the photos with Stoic. I haven't talked to Miss McDonald, but that doesn't mean I haven't.
She is so like, and because I've watched her a lot, she is very bad about getting, in my opinion, too far out of her own territory and into someone else's personal space. Like I find that off-putting. She's always, pointing, and she interrupts all the time. And I don't mean interrupts during testimony. She's rude.
Communicated to them when I have objections.
Okay.
That is just misleading, and I'm tired of it.
Okay.
I'm not making it. I'm saying,
The jury
I just
knows.
want to know.
There's her body language. It's like, God, I guess she doesn't have time to go back and watch herself, but she probably should.
What the objections are, so we don't have it. It'd be great if we could do.
And you just watch like the contrast between these two. And I don't know how long each of them has been practicing. They're both veteran attorneys, I would say. But I just find Karen McDonald to be, and she's not an angel. She's just a lot smarter about the way she has her little where she gets her digs. This one does it with arms waving, getting in your personal space. She's much more subtle and with a wink and a nod.
Didn't know that before.
But that's why she looks 100 times more professional than her counterpoint in yet another monochromatic Hillary Clinton pantsuit. But I am glad to see that she did break it up with a shirt underneath. And my only problem with the shirt underneath is, man, like, why do ladies stop doing this? All right, so we've got the lapel of the suit, and it's, coming just nicely following the torso, the body. And she puts on what looks like a tunic underneath, and I'm not mad at the color. I'm not mad at the print. It's a nice contrast because let's face it, we got to break up all this crazy ass, royal blue, electric royal blue. But it's got a tie. So while it's got a slight V and it's very nicely following these lines, she's got a tie there. And of course we got to tie it. We couldn't just let it hang. It's distracting.
How long are we going to be here? Because the jury's waiting.
And oh my God. And Jennifer's looking no better today, ma'am. Oh God. Whew. Oh, that is a very unfortunate camera angle.
I'm pushing a lot of the deputies here.
We have a few more things. We're just asking, let's hear what the objections are about the exhibits.
I'm going to release the jury.
Okay.
For one thing, these walls are not.
Jury's in the back.
I'm
Doesn't help.
going to follow the deputies. They're not sending the rest of my.
Something I found really interesting, and I'm kind of surprised by, the deputies. This just reminded me of it. Hey, Jules, how are you? Blazer silk scarf. Look. Now, which one? Is that what that thing is she's got around her neck? Or are we talking about Karen McDonald? I loved Karen McDonald's first day wardrobe, and that's in my wheelhouse. I would absolutely wear what Karen McDonald wore that first day. That black and white jacket with the different contrasting print, but same color. Loved that. I just, bad shopping. I could have taken the bitch to Target and got her something better. She's like a friggin', she's a pain in the ass. Oh, yeah, Jules, have you heard me raging about this lady? Listen, when I had my first channel, I always used to say, I'm not a shrink. I just play one on YouTube. If you want a real shrink, go to Jules the Thought. And that's a true story. What was so interesting to me is when I was watching day one, they had, I think I counted 6, and there possibly 7, 6 deputies, maybe 7, down the wall to the left of the lovely Mrs. Crumbley, right down that side of my God, is that freaking paneled wall? I swear it looks like it is. Why so many? It was so odd to me that there would be so many deputies there. And the gallery didn't even look like it was that full, because sometimes I think they have, when there's a lot of victims' families, I can see why they would have more deputies, because not only are they keeping eyes on this one, the judge, they got to make sure nobody from the family decides to jump over that pony wall and give her the beat down that I'm sure they'd like to. So, but yeah, that was very interesting to me. Look at her standing there. Oh God, that pause game. Oh, that's on point. Okay. Yeah, I was not as much a fan of Karen McDonald's outfit today, but this is the only thing I've seen from day 2. So I didn't get as much of a view on her as I did this one, because she's not wildly gesticulating all over the damn. Hi. Okay, I know. Hold on. The dog has just given me the second warning. Okay. One more time. 3 times, right? Okay. I think the real fireworks start happening right about like
I have just
halfway
a
through.
suggestion. I think there's going to be evidentiary issues with some of these exhibits. So I'm wondering if maybe
You
the jury
think?
should come back at 9:30 on Monday or something.
Ashley, can you tell the jury to come back at 9? Tell the jury to come back at 9. Okay.
I love that. She's
So
like,
we have
"That's
time.
the
I
word.
look forward to
She's not gonna
seeing
come back at
this.
9.
Well, you do, one exhibit at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. People do that in trials all the time. But obviously.
He's like, ma'am, we're not trying to be here until the last 12 strands of your client's hair fall on the floor. And she turns to dust, okay? The Department of Corrections is going to take care of that. We, on the other hand, would like to get out of this. This is going to be forever.
Streamline in any way and not do all the juries here and have not moving.
And I do love this judge, but I wish she'd get a little more judge beauty on her. A little more judge, crimes of fashion appearing before the fashion police.
Sheriff's office, Judge. We don't know if he'll be first minute.
No, and she's let us know she has some issues with some of those pictures, and we'll figure, if she just tells us which ones, then we'll decide if we want to stipulate. If not, then we can handle it before the jury.
Oh, I can already tell you they're not going to stipulate. I can tell you we're going to need time on the road.
Are we on like the baseball diamond? What? I can tell you they're not going to stipulate. What? It's like, oh, it's just weird. It's weird. It's so unprofessional. I personally cannot remember a trial where it's crazy. And this is the kind of shit that I wish the judge would rein it in, like just rein it in. But of course, she's been there 9.5 hours. And unlike me, when I get a bed sore on my right ass cheek from sitting in this chair, she can't just get up. And so, I mean, I feel for her, but oh God.
I think,
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
I think that the.
I'm with you, Mrs. McDonald, Ms. McDonald. And I call you Karen.
Right? And we have a right to object to something being admitted, right?
So first of all, this is not a vape pen, non-electronic, but it's very well.
Right.
Okay, so I'm looking at the list.
There's many photos from inside the home
Okay.
that I believe are contrary to the orders this court has already given. Like the messiness, there are relevant photos. There are photos of the stairway.
Of
in the basement.
messiness. Does messiness, like, do dead animals count as messy? Like, when do you get into hoarder territory? Do you have to have flat rats or flat cats to be in hoarder territory? Can you imagine what the inside of that place looked like?
Completely irrelevant to this case.
Why do we
I don't know.
Judge, counsel Knight, she indicated she was going to create a list of which exhibit numbers. They're numbered already. They're numbered.
Right.
And just tell us which one she's object to. We'll review that. If we agree, then we'll strike them from our exhibit list.
Okay,
We
we're
talked about
prepared
this.
to talk about it at 8:30 on Monday morning, because maybe we
We could get a list before that, then we might not have to argue about it.
Your Honor, part of the problem is they won't tell me who they're calling. They gave me the exhibits after the trial, the list of exhibits after the trial started.
Bitch, I haven't even been to law school and I know you don't have to do that. Oh my God, come on. Like, what else do you want him to do for you?
There's one of me. I have co-counsel that has.
Thank God. Thank God. Please, if we're going to have more than one of you, can we have the second one have better highlights, please? Okay.
Not been with me this whole ride. And so I'm doing the best I can, and I have to sleep at night. And I've been here for 8 hours a day this whole week.
Oh my God. Like, bitch, how much do you charge an hour? I mean, I would be shocked if it was a penny less than $3.50, and it's probably north of that. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. There's only one of me. Well, what's his job down at the end? I mean, when she said that, I was so flabbergasted. And the immediate thing that popped in my mind was, ma'am, don't you have a college nearby? A law school, perhaps? I'm sure there's lots of interns getting ready, or lots of, students getting ready to wrap up their degree, their JD, even when I went to school to be a paralegal 2,000 years ago, you had to intern for, I forget how many hours, 100 maybe? I don't know. You mean to tell me she couldn't call up a law school, a college, and say, look, I've got a great opportunity if you've got any kids or any students who need to intern. I could use people to help go through, hell, I don't know. Ma'am, maybe you should call Bullhorn Betty, okay? She's managed to produce at least as much paper, and she's a brilliant legal mind. Oh, God. She's always looking for, some legal work. She loves a good lawsuit. And my God, criminal court, that's right up her alley. I mean, come on, cry me a river.
Spent many hours on this case.
I do this shit for free, and I spent several hours getting ready.
I understand that, but I need, and this weekend, thankfully, I'll have time. I will get them the list of objections.
Okay.
But when I don't even know.
We get that
if
alphabetical.
being called the next day.
Okay, I don't
Listen to her.
Obligates them to do that.
And Judge, you asked us to communicate. We did.
We did.
And, they brought me my Starbucks, and it was the wrong one. There was no donuts. There was no gluten-free option when I got to the, to the back room. God, this bitch.
She knew.
Blonde is much, her partner,
Blonde,
is
we did tell her.
All right.
much more
So over the weekend,
palatable.
we're gonna do the same. Over the weekend, we tell them the witnesses you're gonna call Monday. Will you do that?
We tell her every single day when she
No,
asks.
they
These are
tell
our
you
list. But we do. If I can,
9:30 at night.
if I can just finish.
Okay,
If I
I'm
can
sure
just
they
finish.
don't know yet.
Oh my God, look at her. I'm pretty sure that's what I used to do when I was in high school, and I'd give my mom like all these reasons why I should be able to come home later than 12 o'clock. Ma'am, you should be embarrassed. Honest to God. It's like, get a grip, lady.
Change that
Get
today.
a big old
That
grip.
does change. But
What are you gonna tell her about?
When we can confirm childcare for our witnesses
Okay.
and confirm, we have one person with COVID right now, but one person out of the state.
That guy sitting at the end of the table and doing jack shit. He'll volunteer to do childcare. Like, what is he doing? I'm sure he serves some
We're
purpose
rearranging
besides
witnesses.
just being the magic bookend.
What objection non-responsive? Can you tell her Sunday by noon?
It's funny because the
I hope to have those answers by then.
Sure.
I'll communicate as soon as I have the answers.
I don't think they're obligated to do that. On the other hand,
the more riled up they get, the quieter the judge.
It is something that helps the trial move quicker.
I think it should just be fair.
It
For
would
instance,
also,
we
Oh,
don't
no,
have.
we don't want this to be.
We don't have an exhibit list from the defense. She said she'd provide it the same time we did that night. We don't have it.
The judge said, no, we don't want this to be fair. I would agree. Bury the defendant under the jail. I don't get it.
I
We
didn't
just
say
wanna
I
be
was
treated.
provided that night, and
Okay.
I didn't know what exhibits I would need.
I'll tell you what, that bitch waved that pen in my face like that.
In court,
We're
or
going to be in court for a whole new reason.
Right.
Like, that is just.
Obligated to be fair to both sides, right? this exhibit list, regardless of when you got it, to me has been very helpful. It's descriptive of
Thank you.
where
thank you,
and
Your
when,
Honor.
because, you know, some of it,
You can
some
thank
of them all.
Natalie for that.
Some of
Thank
them
you,
all-
Natalie.
Your Honor,
It's
I
not-
Natalie,
don't
do you
disagree,
do
but
any
also some
freelance
of mine
work
don't
after
match
hours?
what's been put up on the screen. Like it's not as simple and as clear cut. I have this weekend, which is going to give me time.
Okay.
Shannon, we have already heard 3 times that you have the weekend. Put it to good use and quit bitching.
Yeah, okay, they're gonna communicate with you, and if you tell them which ones you object to.
I mean, Shannon, I know you've got a child, you're a hyper-vigilant mother.
Some of these are in the house, some of them might
Maybe
be
you
work,
could get your
some
kid to
might
help.
not be.
Like, make
I
a
don't
game
think you've
out
seen
of
any
it.
of that.
What's that?
I don't think you've seen any of that.
Honey, I want you to take all these papers that have the ones with the blue blocks. I want you to put all those in one stack.
Judge, listen, if she just make a list, we'll be happy to review it with her, so you don't have to.
Okay, so you're gonna be here at 8:30 on Monday morning. We'll talk about as many exhibits as possible. In general, they can go question and answer and all that, but if we can agree on some beforehand, I'm just going to pray that by Monday morning there are no issues. Can I do that? Can I go to the river in Egypt?
Judge, regarding exhibit 423,
Oh, Jesus,
counsel
Elaine.
indicated that there
I
are certain
just got
messages she
over
wants
Elaine.
redacted. Counsel can indicate those
I
messages
forgot
later.
about
We'll
her.
be happy to redact them before the actual exhibits turned over to the jury.
Thank you. I think that it was based on messages that were already excluded via previous motions.
And
I don't recall any specific messages previously excluded by this court from exhibit 423.
There were
Counsel,
topics.
hang on.
It would be
Counsel-
hard for me.
Oh, there you go. He
Right, that's
is
why
right.
if counsel's
He has no
requesting for
problem
it to
getting
be
up in her
redacted,
role.
just as counsel tell us what to be redacted so we can do it.
Okay.
Your Honor, then I need them to send me this proposed exhibit.
You have it, you already have it.
423.
You had it in January of 22.
Okay.
Messages between.
Wait a second.
Wait, do you guys want to?
Wait a second.
All the.
It's
You
the Facebook
said
messages.
I'm
you want
trying-
all the Instagram messages between the defendants and the, that's what you said.
Facebook.
And that's,
Facebook.
Your Honor, that's totally fine. All we have to do is make them.
Oh my
comply
God,
with
she
other
has
orders
those
that the court has
fingers.
already
She
excluded.
has those fingers like Jody Sue Brown. Have y'all ever watched Jody Sue smoke a cigarette? When Jody Sue holds her cigarette, and this is just a thing. I've seen it on other people too. It's not like Jody Sue is some anomaly. There's something with they're like would it be the first? Is that the first joint? Like right underneath your cuticle on your, oh God, my hands are gnarled like a witch, arthritis. They have these fingers that like the first joint, it goes up. Oh God. She's got them. Ooh.
I'll
Oh,
reject
ask for
it.
to come in.
But I'm asking them to give me the original file of 423 because I don't have 423, and I will go through and reject it.
I'm asking for a 4-course
They
meal
have
to
it.
go up in my door when I walk out. My dog is
Well, I
begging
I'll mark it
for
off
me to
with
like
this.
take them out.
She has
We all
423.
want shit.
It's the entire
Yeah.
Facebook message string between
God.
Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley. It's the thing that she piles up. She has that string. So
The court would like we can produce a proof of service first thing Monday morning.
No, I'm not saying I do have it in the.
It's
in the
that
evidence. I don't
old
have it.
school
They're talking about it as if they've given me a 423.
Librarian metal cart
They have it.
behind
It's
her.
buried in the stacks of
With-
evidence.
Okay.
with
That's fine.
Fuller
I'll
Betty's
dig it out. I
lawsuit.
will go through it tonight. I will let them know what I want redacted.
Okay.
All
You
I
can
want
sign
is
them, yeah.
redacted.
We should sign it.
It's a
Redaction.
thumb drive.
I don't know.
God,
There's a
what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, they handed it to me
This lady
today.
never
while
had
we
a
were
trial
for 8 hours. So
Okay, but you're the one who asked for it to be admitted, right? You're the one who asked for it to be admitted. So.
Yeah, so there is that.
Everybody agrees.
Why don't you get your client?
We have
She's got a lot of time on her hands.
Uh-oh, there comes the problem.
Jennifer, we're going to send over 3 reams of
Just
these stacks of
One thing I think is
paper,
important.
and you're going to
I
get
asked the
started.
court to instruct counsel to show the appropriate
I mean,
decorum
I don't
for
have
this
anybody to
particular
do my
case.
redactions.
Indicating I'm going to kill myself in a joking manner. I'm drinking 5 bottles of wine.
It's just there
Yeah.
are parents
That's
who
my
had their children
That's my
murdered in this courtroom, and we are the people who communicate with them after we leave
I
here.
said something about because I was looking at her exhibit and it was teetering. And I.
Yeah, that's not what you're talking about, Joe.
I would like you.
But making a joke about killing yourself in this courtroom at this time, I understand.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
shit.
I am so
We
sorry.
couldn't get that
I did not
button.
mean it
Stop
like
yelling
that.
that I don't
I
want to
did
be
not
that
mean
way.
it like that, and they
I
know
love
I
the way
didn't mean
that
it like
that
that.
Karen McDonald told
We're
us. Stop yelling!
responding to literally just sitting here, the amount of messages we get.
Honestly, nobody thinks that she meant it literally, but it just all goes to that. It's so unprofessional. It's disrespectful. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
From victims in the community. And I just think just to be at a abundance of respect and caution, if we could just not say things like that. I'm not accusing anyone of any malice or any bad intent. I'm just asking that we just not
I don't
engage in
think you
that.
have to be a
because
member of
this
the
is hard
table
enough
panel to
for the
know
people
that
who are sitting here now and who
Shannon
will be
here is
sitting here
really
next
sweet.
week.
Your Honor, I am not joking around about anything.
Okay, I think it was a simple
That was a very bizarre downturn in her tone. That was weird.
Emotions are running high.
I mean, it was so noticeable. It was weird. That means she was lying her ass off.
But Your Honor, I do want to make a point. I'm not making an objection because my emotions are running high. In fact, I'm not having an emotion.
And that right there, that is the stark contrast between those two legal professionals. I think Miss Shannon is doesn't have quite as good of a, and McDonald, that's how you're supposed to do it. And when you get in your car, you cry, you scream, you whatever, but you don't do it in open court.
Emotional response here. I am simply asking that we be respectful to victims. That's it.
Your Honor, I am being respectful. So that is implying I'm being disrespectful.
No, she didn't imply it. She said it outright. And you kind of are.
I'm gonna.
It's flippant.
Almost, I didn't mean in any way to offend.
Well, you
these
did.
families.
I didn't. It was a slip of the tongue. She's just.
It was absolutely not related to them.
Oh my God, Shannon! The correct answer is, I am so sorry. It was not my intention, and I am so sorry. Please forgive me. That's the fucking answer. Why do so many people have? I'll ask Elton John.
It's the prosecution that's parading all of this up here.
Parading? The shooting is the result of the defendant's gross negligence. That is the case.
They are the ones that
Everybody
are
needs-
re-seeing all of this over and over and
Your Honor,
over.
Whoa! Everybody needs to go home. Everybody needs to go home. All right?
Well, it's just getting
I'm
good.
not putting
What do you
victims
mean?
in anything and I'm sorry, but that just because everybody's disagreeing doesn't mean everyone is inappropriate. We aren't putting victims through everything. We're prosecuting our case.
Oh,
We're trying
God,
to do
that
it
was
in the most
hideous what
efficient way.
she said. I
think
forgot
this is
about that.
wrong. Everybody needs to take a deep breath and go home. Everybody go home. I'm going home.
Oh my God, how vile was it? See, and that's where I got a problem with the judge. That was so inappropriate. They're parading the. Man, that is what your bag of shits client, spawn of Satan, did. That's the case. That's the evidence. Nobody's parading. That's so so bad, so bad. Okay, well, my gosh, I need to go take a nap now that I've had a good 3-hour rage. Yeah, I was sitting on my couch and I was like, damn. Now yeah, we're gonna talk about this. All right, kids, my dog has given me the second warning, or actually he's probably given me the third, and it's probably time to get the mop out. He's like, lady, I don't speak English. You know what I want. So I'm gonna go take Bob out. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna get caught up on this. I'm going to get current. But I really don't want to cover it in real time because I can't stand the, all the interruptions. So, but I'll get caught up and then we'll go from there. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. All right, y'all have a good night. You never know. I may come in here tomorrow. I doubt it. I think I've got family coming over. Sunday dinner with the fam dam. So, but I'm wide open next week. Okay, Bob, I'm coming right now. I promise. All right, kids, have a good night, pussycats. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you Monday or Tuesday. And Bob says goodbye. Okay, I promise I'm coming.